Do you want to achieve outstanding results? Then you have to embrace winning habits. That is, if you want to be like Mike. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. We've been going over some lessons, life lessons that we learned from playing basketball, from coaching basketball. And once again, you don't have to be, a basketball guy to understand these things and how they relate to life. So let's continue on as we educate, lead, and inspire based on some lessons we've learned from basketball. First of all, as a leader, one of the things that you want to be very cognizant of is to accept the blame and dole out the credit. Why? What happens in any sort of an organization? Things are going to go wrong. You're going to have failures. You're going to have things that don't go the way you were hoping they were going to go. And what happens in a scenario like that? Most of the time, you get major finger pointing. That is not the mindset that you want prevalent in your organization. You want everybody to take the position, the posture of we live and we die as a team. That's critically important in basketball. It's also critically important in business. We live and we die as a team. We do things together. So part of that is, as the leader, to eliminate that finger pointing. Let the blame fall upon you. I should have prepared you better. I should have been able to foresee that particular outcome happening. That's my fault. Why is that so important? Because when you have a society of finger pointing, what happens is it discourages people from giving their best effort. They would rather not fail and be safe in not failing than they would be to take the extra step to succeed. As an example, let's suppose that playing a game and the guy takes a shot at the end, he misses it, game over, we lost. All right, people finger point, if only you would have made that layup, or if only you would have done. When you have that, that's not good. So what's going to happen the next time that particular player is in a position to take the final shot? He's not going to take it. Why? I don't need that. I don't need people yelling at me and finger pointing at me. I don't want to be the one that everybody blames. You can't have that. People have to be willing to step up, and you are the one, as the leader, that has to take the blame. Same thing is true in business. You're going to have failures, but you also have to make sure that everybody responds as a team, and you need to dole out the credit in a proper way also. Too many times the leader, the quarterback of the team, gets all the credit when, if the guys on the line aren't blocking, the quarterback doesn't have time to make the pass. Same thing is true in business. Same thing is true in basketball. One of the things you have to point out, let's say a guy takes a shot at the end of the game, puts it in, you win the game at the buzzer. Well, how did the guy get the ball? Who got the rebound? Who set the screen to make? So what you say is, hey, let's hear it for Johnny. He set the screen that opened up Freddie so he could take that winning shot. Let's hear it for Johnny because Johnny got the big rebounds that put us in position. Let's hear it. You follow what I'm saying? And you point out all of the little things that people did that don't make it to the score sheet, that people don't notice per se, except if you're one of the coaches, if you notice those little nuances that enable other people to perform at a higher level. And when you recognize that, then you're telling everybody, hey, it doesn't seem like your job is super important, but your job is super important because we wouldn't have gotten here unless you did it right here. And that's a key thing, and that bonds everybody together. Not only that, but when people feel that they are a major part of the team, that their contribution is very important, they're willing to go the extra mile to make sure that the team succeeds. Isn't that what you're looking for in your organization? Of course it is. Next thing I want to talk about is adjusting your skill set. As Michael Jordan got older, he wasn't as quick or as fast as he was when he first came out of college. Did a little bit less dunking. So what did he do? He said, if I still want to be the man, what I have to do is I have to develop a new skill set. And boy, did he ever. He became just a dead-eye shooter, and got in his position. He developed that skill set of being able to take that jump shot, and that kept him up here because he was able to do something that other people weren't able to do. He adjusted his skill set as time marched on. And there's different motivations for that. It can be, like in his case, well, you're getting older, you're not as athletic as you once were, or it could be that the scenario changes. Now in basketball, as an example, if Michael Jordan were playing today, the three-point shot is one of the most dominating factors of the game. You can bet all the money that you have that if Michael Jordan were playing today, he would be an outstanding three-point shooter, because he would recognize that the game has moved along to that particular important, that three-point shooting is more important now, and so he would focus on that. Same thing is true in life. Somebody like me, do you think I want to stop and learn all the little nuances on the computer? Do you think I want to learn, how to take my phone and make it drive my car and turn out the lights in my house and all that kind of stuff? I'm not excited about doing that, but I have to realize that times have changed, the scenario has changed, so I have to adjust my skill set as technology changes and advances, and as scenarios change and advance. We all have to do that with, as an example, this pandemic. We have to acquire a new skill set. One of the things we all have to be able to do, group meetings. I'm talking about little nuances, but the point is, you have to be able to adjust your skill set as time goes along and not hold a pat hand, because things change and scenarios change, and if you still want to be relevant, you have to be in touch with what's popular and what's dominant in society. And certainly computers and phones and the internet and so on are popular things. So these are things that I have to embrace. These are things that everybody has to embrace. And my point is, it's not going to stop there. 10 years from now, there's going to be something else that the people now that are the big shots with the computers are going to say, well, I know the computer, why do I have to learn the new stuff? You got to learn the new stuff. That's the way life advances. Which brings me to new starting lines. My goodness, one of the things you have to do is recognize that you have a particular objective and you have a burning desire and you get to that first starting line. Okay, well, what happens if during the game when you're playing, your big guy gets into foul trouble and you were planning on getting the ball to your big guy so that he could put it in the basket, but now he's got 4 fouls and he can't be in the game? What do you do now? Well, you got to come up with a new game plan. You got to come up with a new starting line. Circumstances change. You've got to be willing to come up with a new plan. And this was one of the things that my mentor, Bob Anderson, used to always ask me about people that I was training for leadership. He would say, okay, he can sell, that's good. How is he at TOF? What's TOF? TOF means thinking on your feet. Can he or she think on their feet? That is a critical skill for leaders to have. And how do you develop that? Well, you have to just be anticipating. You have to be anticipating. You have to say, if this happens, what am I going to do here? If that happens, what am I going to do there? You have to be prepared. And one of the things that you as a leader want to do is role play and put your people in various situations and say, okay, here's the scenario, how are you going to act? Go. Now in basketball, let me give you a quick example there. When I was a junior, and it was one of the very first games that we were playing, we're down by like a point, it's the end of the game. I'm not the best player on the team. I mean, I'm a junior, there's 4 other guys that are all seniors that are playing in the game. The ball comes into my hands, there's like 3 or 4 seconds left in the game. I passed it to somebody else, and there wasn't enough time for us to take a shot to win the game. Everybody looked at me and said, you got to take the shot, Eli's dad, come on, it's, at the end of the game. You know what? They were right. I should have been smart enough to take the shot. But our coach had not put us in that particular scenario in practice. If he had, then I would have been more aware, more conscious of the fact of the clock's coming down. I mean, it was an error of inexperience that I never made again. Not only that, but when I became a coach, you can bet your bottom dollar that one of the things we practiced all the time was the end of the game, the end of a quarter, getting the shot up so that somebody else didn't find themselves in the same scenario that I found myself. Experience matters, and you've got to be able to put people in a new starting line. You've got to have them think on their feet, and thinking on your feet is role playing. You always want to be role playing for new scenarios. That's the way that you prepare people to think on their feet properly. Measuring results. All right, you have a game plan. This is what you want to do. And either the game plan's working super, all right, in other words, we're ahead by 25 points. It's the end of the first half. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to change my game plan. I'm going to put my subs in and give them some playing experience, and I'm going to rest my starters. All right, new game plan. That's the one you want to have. On the other hand, you can be down a few points and say, all right, what we're doing now is not working, so we have to make some changes. But the only way that you're able to do that is by measuring the results that you have right in front of you. So you always have to be cognizant of where you are in the big picture. Always be cognizant. Always make sure that your activity is measurable, because if it's not, you don't know how you're doing. You don't know to make any adjustments. Of course, this is true in business as well. Do you have customers coming in the door? Are people buying your product? Are people buying your service? If not, you have to say, okay, what can I do? Maybe I need to change my advertising. Maybe I need to work on my customer service. Maybe there's something wrong with my product. You've got to take a look, and you've got to be looking for new starting lines all the time. And the only way you can do that is by measuring results. That is the clue that tells you, hey, I've got to make an adjustment. I've got to make a paradigm shift. I've got to make a change. Next thing we want to talk about in relation to basketball is discipline. You've got to have good discipline. I'm going to give you a couple of basketball examples. And when I say discipline, it's doing things that you wouldn't normally do naturally. Let me give you an example. Let's suppose you're on a fast break, you have the ball, you're in the middle of the court, and you're going, there's only one or two guys in front of you, and you got a guy on your right, a guy on your left. It's a 3-on-2 fast break. One of the things that you want to do is you're dribbling the ball, you're going hard to the basket, and you want to go all the way to the basket and lay the ball in. But that's the wrong thing to do. That's the wrong thing to do. The right thing to do is to stop at the foul line, maintain your dribble, and keep your two passing lanes open. If you have two guys covering three guys and you go all the way to the basket, what you're doing is you're minimizing the angles, you're lessening the passing lanes, and you're killing some of your options. But the natural thing to do when you have the ball like that is to go all the way to the basket. So you have to work on, in practice, getting your people to stop at the foul line. It's not something that they will naturally do. It's something that you have to be taught to do. Give you a different example. When we're pressing, all right, we go and we press, and person controls the dribbler and gets the right angle and is there. He's got the sideline, and he's there with the sideline, and then the other guy comes over and he creates the trap. And so then now you have three guys that rotate, and the ball gets passed over to the other side. When the ball gets passed over to the other side, every human instinct tells the person right here that they want to go and advance towards the guy with the ball. That's the wrong thing to do. What you have to do is you have to actually back up a little bit and create an angle and allow your people to recover. So if you go up and rush the guy with the ball, he's going to scoot around you, and then the press is over. But if you back up and create the right angle, it gives time for your other players to get to reposition themselves, to recreate the press, to recreate the trap. That is something that we had to work on over and over and over and over again, because the natural tendency is to rush the guy who gets the ball, but you can't do that. You have to have that discipline. Same thing is true in business, same thing is true in life. Excuse me. One of the things, as an example, just one example, is somebody says something to you that's kind of nasty, your first instinct is to respond with something equally nasty. Don't do that. Hold your water. Give it a rest. Step away. Don't let your emotions take over. Give yourself time to think about it. This is true on the personal side of the balance sheet. It's true on the business side of the balance sheet. Give yourself some time so that you're not speaking from not emotionally, but you're speaking logically. Sleep on it for a night. Put yourself in their shoes. Figure out where they're coming from. But make sure that your response is logical, not emotional. That kills so many friendships, so many relationships when people do that. Be the bigger person. Have that discipline. Momentum. Okay, especially, in a basketball game and in life. When things are going really, really good for you, you want them to keep going. One of the things that we would do is when we were practicing, and I would have like 6 guys on offense against 5 guys on defense, okay, to make it more difficult for the 5 guys on defense to steal the ball. We're practicing pressing. That's what we're trying to do, is steal the ball. Is when they did steal it, as soon as they put the ball in the basket, I'd start screaming, get another one, get another one, get another one. All right? To get the momentum going, to get everybody to not relax. The tendency is, once you score a basket, is okay, we scored a basket, let's relax. No! That's when you got the other team on the run. When you have them on the run, that's when you want to really apply the pressure. Get another one, get another one, get another one. All right? And so I would start yelling that. I would start screaming that. Other people on the side would yell, get another one, get another one. What do you suppose happened during the game when we would make a steal and put the ball in the basket? The whole team would yell, get another one, get another one, get another one. So not only does that excite the guys that are on the court to keep going, keep going, keep going, but it also kind of unnerves the other team. All right? The other team's going, oh goodness, they're coming again. They're going to get another one. All right? Once you have momentum, you want to ride it. The law of inertia. Body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. Get the body in motion. Same thing is true in business. When things are happening really well, you have a good week in sales, let's say, you say, you know what, next week we're going to do even better. We're going to do this. And you press on. You say, things are going well. You ride the wave. Ride the wave. Once you get that momentum going, you've got to keep it going. And unfortunately, momentum is something that works both ways. You can have good momentum and you can have bad momentum. And you really want to break the bad momentum. In a basketball game, you might call a timeout. You might change your defense. You might change your offense. You might put in some different players, so on and so forth. Same thing is true. Same thing is true in life and in business. You make a change. You make an adjustment. You change the momentum. That's the key thing. Big Mo is critical. Last thing we want to talk about today is taking a stand. One of the things that is very, very courageous for somebody to do is when there's a big guy coming full bore, 100 miles an hour with the ball towards the basket, for you to stand in front and take the hit and take a stand. But you have to do that. Of course, in practice, we practice that, because you can't expect somebody to do something in a game that they haven't done in practice. So we practice that. We practice the technique for that, taking a charge. But you have to take a stand. You say to yourself, you know what? The job of the defense is to prevent the other team from putting the ball in the basket. I have to take a stand right here, right now. I'm not moving. This guy's going to come in, he's going to plow into me, I'm going to feel it, but I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to prevent the basket from happening. Same thing is true. Sometimes in life, you have to make a painful decision that what you're doing is right, and you have to take a stand and say, you know what, we're not going any further than right here. This is it, right here, right now. And that takes courage, that takes guts, that takes stones to do. But when you do it correctly, it's the right thing. Some things are right all the time, and some things are wrong all the time. Make sure that you're able to differentiate between the two. And because we're never going to end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and take charge. I'm Eli's dad.